Hi, I'm Sekine, a financial planner. If you want to buy property in Japan, let's study Japanese mortgage and property. Today, I would like to talk about a question I receive very frequently from international clients. The question is, why is it difficult for foreigners to get a mortgage in Japan? Many people assume that the foreigners simply cannot obtain a mortgage in Japan. But the reality is a little more complicated than that. In fact, some foreign residents can obtain a mortgage even if they do not have a permanent residency. However, the requirements are often stricter and the approval process can be more complicated compared to Japanese applicants. Today, I would like to explain why mortgage can be difficult for foreigners in Japan and also when it may still be possible. First, one of the biggest factors is visa status. Japanese banks generally prefer borrowers who have permanent residency in Japan. The reason is that the mortgage in Japan are usually long-term, often lasting 30 to 35 years. From the bank's perspective, they want to make sure that the borrowers will remain in Japan long enough to repay the loan. If someone does not have a permanent residency, bank may worry that the borrowers might leave Japan in the future. This makes the loan riskier from the bank's perspective. However, this does not mean that it is impossible. Some banks do provide mortgage to foreign residents who have work visa or spouse visa, but the condition may vary depending on the bank. The second reason is credit history. In many countries, banks use the credit score to evaluate borrowers. Those credit scores provide a long history of a borrower's financial behavior, including past loan repayment record and credit card usages. In Japan, credit history is also important, but foreign residents often have a shorter financial record in Japan. For example, someone who recently moved to Japan may yet have a long credit history or extensive financial record within the Japanese system. Because of this, banks may find it harder to evaluate the borrower's credit. The third reason is that each bank has different conditions regarding foreign applicants. Some banks are more flexible and willing to consider applications from foreign residents without permanent residency. Other banks may require permanent residency as a basic condition. This means that the outcome can vary significantly depending on the bank you apply to. One bank may reject your application while another may approve it. For this reason, choosing the right bank can be extremely important. Another important factor is employment stability. Japanese banks typically prefer borrowers who have a stable employment and steady income. They will usually look at the factors such as whether the applicant has a full-time position, how long they have been working at the current company, and whether their income is stable and sufficient to support the loan. In many cases, banks prefer applicants who have worked in Japan for several years, as this demonstrates a stable financial situation. There is also an interesting point about the Japanese mortgage market. Japan actually has some of the lowest mortgage interest rate in the world. Mortgage rates in Japan are often significantly lower than those in the USA or Europe or many other countries. Because of those low rates, banks are very carefully when applying the borrowers. Despite those challenges, it's important to remember that many foreign residents do successfully obtain the mortgage in Japan. In general, foreign buyers may have a better chance of approval if they meet several conditions. For example, having a long-term work visa or spouse visa, stable employment in Japan, consistent income, and a solid work history can significantly improve the chances of mortgage approval. In addition, some banks have developed more experience working with international clients, which can also make the process easier in certain cases. So while getting a mortgage in Japan as foreigners can sometimes be challenging, it is certainly not impossible. The key is to understand how the system works, prepare the necessary documents, and approach the bank that are most likely to consider foreign applicants. Thank you for watching. If you are international buyers thinking about purchasing property in Japan, I also provide a professional support for foreigners navigating Japanese real estate market. Since my company is also licensed real estate agent, we can introduce properties and arrange property viewings. You can find more details on my website linked in the description below. See you in the next video.